Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, a really ancient tale, but one that's just packed with surprisingly modern lessons. We're talking escaping difficult situations, asserting your rights against exploitation, and that complex dance of family and finance.
hmm
Imagine trying to navigate a work relationship where your boss is also your father-in-law, where the goalposts just keep shifting and you feel this, I don't know, higher calling maybe to just pack up your entire life and disappear.
Yeah,
That's Jacob's predicament, and that's our starting point today.
indeed. And we're going to be sifting through the layers of conflict and eventual resolution from a really pivotal moment in the book of Genesis, specifically chapter 31.
Okay.
Our mission here isn't just to summarize the story. We want to dig into why these characters made such drastic choices, the cultural stuff playing out, and, what broader implications, maybe even uncomfortable ones, we can draw. Implications about confronting manipulators, defining boundaries, securing your future, even if that means, well, a strategic retreat. Get ready for some unexpected twists and some powerful negotiations that, honestly, they still resonate across millennia.
Okay, so let's dive straight into Jacob's situation. The tension, as you said, it's been building for years between Jacob and Laban, his uncle, who then became his father-in-law.
Complicated already.
Very. And we learn Laban's own sons are spreading rumors, basically saying Jacob's ripped off their dad, taken all his wealth unfairly.
Right, adding fuel to the fire.
And Jacob himself, he's noticed a change in Laban's attitude. It's palpable, the text says. It's not like it used to be, so it feels like a breaking point is near. Like a slow burn of resentment, really, on both sides.
And what's fascinating there is how Jacob's facing pressure from, well, two directions. Externally from Laban's hostile family, and internally just that gut feeling from Laban's whole demeanor changing.
Yeah, it creates this deeply uncomfortable, distrustful environment.
Exactly. But then, a key moment. The narrative describes a divine command. The Lord apparently tells Jacob straight up, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you."
Huh.
Now, within the story's context, this divine instruction, it acts as a clear, sort of undeniable catalyst for Jacob's decision to leave. It gives him not just permission, but a powerful justification.
So Jacob decides to act on this, and he does it strategically. He calls his wives, Rachel and Leah, out to the fields, away from Laban, where they can talk privately.
Smart move.
And he lays it all out, his grievances. He tells them, your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. 10 times! I mean, that's not just a mistake or two.
No, that's a pattern.
It's a consistent, deliberate pattern of manipulation. Unfair labor, basically. Sounds incredibly frustrating, like trying to hit a target that, well, it just keeps moving.
Absolutely. But Jacob also emphasizes, God has not allowed him to harm me. He even recounts how divine intervention apparently made the flocks bear offspring streaked, speckled, spotted, that matched whatever crazy new wage terms Laban came up with.
Wow.
Yeah, and that detail, the 10 times, it's crucial. It really underscores Laban's relentless exploitation and Jacob's years of just dealing with it.
Right.
Jacob also talks about this powerful dream he had. An angel of God identifies himself as the God of Bethel.
Wow.
Now, Bethel is where Jacob, years earlier, made this solemn vow, promising loyalty if God protected him and got him home safe.
Ah, connecting back.
Exactly. So this divine reminder isn't just a new order. It's like a reaffirmation of that old pact. It repeats the instruction to leave because God has specifically seen, quote, all that Laban has been doing to you. It gives Jacob both vindication and clear direction.
So Jacob lays out this pretty audacious plan to his wives, but Laban is their father. They're his daughters. What kind of reception does he get? I mean, do Rachel and Leah push back at all on this sudden idea to just up and leave everything?
Not one bit, which is, incredibly revealing. Their response basically greenlights the whole thing.
Really?
They say they feel like foreigners in their own father's house. And they state, very pointedly, that Laban has sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us.
Oof. Sold us.
Yeah, it indicates this deep sense of being exploited, disinherited even. In that ancient patriarchal society, a daughter's inheritance, her value almost, was often tied to her father's estate, maybe the bride price. But Laban seems to have just squandered it, denied them their due.
So they feel cut off.
Completely. They see themselves as cut off from their birthright, and they wholeheartedly back Jacob's move. They basically say, look, all the wealth God took from our father, that belongs to us and our kids now, so just do whatever God told you. Their perspective, it doesn't just validate Jacob's decision. It really highlights how, even within a family, perceived injustice can totally shift loyalties and create these, well, new alliances.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, as you said. Wives are on board. Jacob makes his move. He loads up the family onto camels, gathers all the livestock, all his goods. But this isn't some open, tearful farewell party.
No, no.
It's clandestine. It's a secret escape.
Yes, the text tells us pretty directly. Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was running away. It's not just quiet, it's deliberate misdirection.
And that word Aramean.
It's significant, yeah.
Okay.
It identifies Laban with a specific cultural group distinct from Jacob's heritage. It kind of emphasizes their different backgrounds, maybe different ways of doing things.
Okay.
And then there's Rachel's incredibly bold move. Rachel stole her father's household gods. Now, these weren't just little statues.
Right. Teraphim, weren't they called?
Exactly, teraphim. In that culture, they could represent family lineage, property rights, maybe even the right to inherit leadership or a chunk of the family estate.
So stealing them was huge.
Oh, profound. A massive act of defiance. It could potentially give her husband, Jacob, a claim on Laban's estate, or at the very least secure some critical, spiritual, and maybe practical assets for their new life. Away from Dad.
Wow. So Jacob flees with everything, crosses the Euphrates River, heads for the hills, basically, the hill country of Gilead.
Which was a strategic border region. It would naturally sort of mark out their different territories.
You'd think, okay, dramatic escape, maybe he's home free now. But as often happens in these ancient stories.
It's never that simple.
Exactly. The departure just kicks off an even more intense chapter. The narrative says, on the third day, Laban gets wind of Jacob's flight.
Took him 3 days to notice.
Yeah, and he grabs his relatives, pursues Jacob for 7 days, catches him way out in Gilead. That's a full week of chasing. So the stage is set for this dramatic, maybe even violent confrontation.
Absolutely. The pursuit adds huge tension, raises the stakes massively. Laban wouldn't go on a week-long chase lightly. But just before the confrontation happens, there's another divine intervention moment. The text says, "Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night."
Another dream.
Yep. And said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Basically, don't threaten him. Don't even try to sweet-talk him. Just be careful.
So God's putting the brakes on Laban.
Within the narrative, yes.
Yeah.
It restricts Laban's potential for harm, sets a clear boundary for the chat they're about to have. It kind of preempts violence and forces them into a verbal resolution.
Okay, so Laban catches up, wastes no time. He confronts Jacob, and he is furious.
Understandably, maybe.
He accuses Jacob of deception, of carrying off his daughters like captives in war, demands to know why he ran off secretly, laments he couldn't even kiss his grandkids and daughters goodbye. He's really laying it on thick, trying to make Jacob feel guilty.
Playing the victim card a bit.
Yeah. Framing himself as the wronged party. But then he hits the main point, it seems. Why did you steal my gods? Now, it's easy to just paint Laban as the bad guy here, but from his viewpoint, Jacob did just disappear with his daughters, grandkids, a lot of wealth, and his household gods. Is there any room in the story to kind of empathize with Laban's anger here, even if we get why Jacob left?
That's a really good question. Because while Jacob's grievances are, well, pretty solid, Laban's reaction isn't totally out of nowhere.
Right.
The text does show his immediate concern for his daughters and grandkids. And the theft of those household gods, that would have been a deep personal affront, not just losing stuff.
More than just property.
Oh, much more.
Right.
For him, it's like a double betrayal. Son-in-law runs off, and a daughter takes these symbols of his lineage. He even says to Jacob, "I have the power to harm you." But then he immediately mentions that divine warning he got.
So he acknowledges the dream.
He does, which confirms God's intervention in the story was effective, prevented immediate violence. Now, Jacob, he's completely clueless about what Rachel did with the idols.
He doesn't know.
Nope. So he defends himself vehemently about the stolen gods, declares boldly, "If you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live."
Bro.
Yeah. He then confidently tells Laban, "Search everything." Right here in front of our relatives. He's basically putting his family's life on the line, unknowingly.
Wow, okay. That is high stakes. A death penalty potentially hanging over whoever has the idols. So Laban searches. Jacob's tent, Leah's tent, the servants' tents, finally Rachel's tent. What happens?
This is just a moment of pure cleverness
Yeah.
and deception from Rachel. The text says she had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them.
Sitting on them.
Sitting on them.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine the tension in that tent? The sheer audacity. Her father, furious, suspicious, searching inches away from the very things he's looking for.
Unbelievable.
And when Laban comes in, she tells him with amazing poise something like, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." Now, in that culture, a woman in a state of ritual impurity, well, she'd typically avoid rising before men. This cultural sensitivity stops Laban from demanding she get up.
So he can't search under her.
Exactly. He searches around but finds nothing, which must have just compounded his frustration. He probably senses something's off, but he can't prove it. Rachel outsmarted him.
So the search is over, nothing found, and the tables just dramatically turn. Jacob, who's been defensive, even put his family's life at risk unknowingly. He just erupts.
Finally snaps.
Yeah, he's angry. And he finally takes Laban to task, asks him, "What is my crime? How have I wronged you that you hunt me down like this? After putting up with it for 20 years, why now?" Why does he choose this moment to just unleash everything?
Well, this is Jacob's powerful counterattack, isn't it?
Yeah.
He finally gets to air all his grievances right after being unjustly accused himself.
The accusation backfired on Laban.
Completely. His outburst is triggered by Laban's accusations and that fruitless search. He's cleared his name about the idols, and now he feels he has the moral high ground, maybe. And just the emotional push to finally speak his truth.
And he doesn't hold back.
Not at all. He details the harsh reality of his work. "The heat consumed me in the daytime and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes." He gets specific about his service. "I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks." And he hammers that point again. "Laban changed my wages 10 times.
Bringing receipts, basically.
Pretty much. And he emphasizes, "If the God of my father had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed." It's this passionate defense that shifts the blame squarely back onto Laban, highlights the unfairness, the exploitation, and makes it clear that in his view, divine protection was the only thing that saved him.
So what does Laban say to that? He can't really deny the years of service, the wage changes, the facts Jacob's laying out. How does he respond to this, well, torrent of truth?
Laban, faced with this passionate truth, unable to refute the basic facts of Jacob's service, and probably still feeling constrained by that dream warning.
Right, the warning.
He recognizes the situation's gravity, sort of acknowledges it, but in a really possessive way first. He says, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine."
Still trying to claim ownership.
It's like a final assertion of ownership, even as he realizes he can't actually force Jacob back or undo the past. But then he pivots, takes a pragmatic turn. He proposes, "Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us."
Ah, a treaty.
Exactly. This leads directly to setting up a formal agreement, a way to move forward without more conflict.
So they actually build something, a monument.
They do. Jacob takes a stone, sets it up like a pillar. Then they gather more stones into a heap, and Laban names it Jagar Sahadutha, while Jacob calls it Gilead.
And we're told both names mean heap with witness.
Right. Laban uses the Aramaic term, Jacob uses the Hebrew. This dual naming, reflecting both their languages, it emphasizes a kind of shared understanding of this boundary mark. It signifies a mutual agreement, even if it's tense, to respect the space between them now.
Interesting. And it's also called Mizpah.
Yes, Mizpah, meaning watchtower or lookout. And this adds another layer. The text says, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other." It positions God as this vigilant witness, which is pretty crucial when you don't have, international courts.
So what are the actual terms of this peace treaty?
Laban lays out specific conditions. He warns Jacob, "If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me."
Okay, protecting his daughter's interests, finally.
Seems like it. And he also states very clearly that neither of them should cross this heap and pillar to harm the other. It's a non-aggression pact, basically. This agreement, they seal it with a sacrifice and a shared meal. It signifies a formal end to the hostilities and an attempt to forge a future, albeit a separate one, with a clear line drawn in the sand.
It really does sound like an ancient peace treaty, setting parameters, relying on a higher power for enforcement because trust is just gone.
Absolutely. It's a foundational example of these kinds of agreements, whether between nations or just complex family settlements.
And then, the next morning, after all that drama, the chase, the accusations, Rachel's clever deception, the negotiation, final farewell.
Yes, the narrative wraps up with this intense encounter pretty simply. Laban kisses his grandchildren and daughters, blesses them, and then he just returns home.
Huh.
It's quite an emotional end to a really fraught situation. Marks the end of one, well, tumultuous chapter, and the definitive start of another for Jacob and his family. The separation's made, the boundaries are set, and they can begin a new phase.
So, bringing this forward, what does this all mean for you, maybe navigating your own complex relationships, family, or work? This deep dive into Jacob and Laban, it really shows how breaking free from toxic, exploitative situations often needs, well, a mix of things.
Hmm.
Strategic discretion, maybe, like Jacob's escape and Rachel's clever cover-up, but then followed by this unvarnished, passionate accounting of grievances, which Jacob finally delivered. It's almost like a blueprint for confronting a manipulator, just using ancient tools.
And it highlights how individuals assert their rights, seek justice, even when relationships are just deeply tangled, historically messy. The story reveals the power of that clear, passionate laying out of grievances, like Jacob did, and the need to establish clear boundaries, maybe even divinely witnessed ones, for how things will be going forward.
Right.
This narrative gives us a powerful template, really, for understanding how long-standing tensions can be addressed, maybe imperfectly, sure, but addressed through direct confrontation and formal agreements.
You know, perhaps the most striking lesson here is just the power of a voice that's been suppressed for a long time. Jacob's 20 years of just enduring it silently finally explodes into this fact-based indictment. And it forces his oppressor, Laban, into a negotiation he can't really refuse. It proves that even deeply personal exploitation can sometimes be confronted through public truth-telling and setting clear boundaries. What really stands out to you in this story? Is it the shifting loyalties, the chase, Rachel's cleverness, or Jacob's big defense speech?
That's tough. But maybe it raises this question for you, our listener. When you felt a long-standing injustice or truly exploited, what does it actually take to finally break free, to establish new, healthier boundaries? And how much does a strong internal conviction, or maybe what feels like divine intervention, how much does that play a role in that really difficult but necessary process? What does it truly mean to make a covenant in your own life, maybe, to protect your peace, your future, especially when trust has been broken?
Something profound to ponder as you continue your own journey of deep dives. Until next time.